Hello everyone once again, and I welcome everyone you at the PragatiE Vichaar Literature Festival, the one of its kind 24 hours author marathon. And now I'm having with me from the editorial team of the Valiant Women, Miss Komal Narwani. And the topic of the session is all about struggle for India's independence, these sheros contribution. So here to you, Komal. Please start by introducing yourself to the audience.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for the amazing introduction. I'm really happy to be a part of the PragatiE Literature Festival. And I'm Komal Narwani. I am a part of the Amar Chitrakatha editorial team. And over the past 3 years, I have been a part of Amar Chitrakatha in various ways and been working for them for offline and online content. And it's a pleasure to talk about the book Valiant Women, which has been written by Nandini Nair and Surekha S., who are really eminent authors. And I've had the opportunity to work on the book with the editorial team. So it is an immense pleasure to talk about the book, and I'm looking forward to the amazing questions you have.
I hope we'll be having a very splendid session with you. So I'll start with the first question. Okay, so here you go. Rani Laxmi-bai, Sarojani Naidu, Bai Phule, and many more women freedom fighters have sacrificed themselves to amend the plight surrounded by women. What if we hadn't had these prominent personalities? Then how would have the situation turned out to be for women in today's time?
Okay, so firstly, I think this question is a great fit for our book, Women Path Breakers, which is a little different from Valiant Women, because in Women Path Breakers, we talk about all the first women of India, they who broke the barriers of the society and took that step because of which today women are able to do so many things that we are doing today. Like even me sitting in front of you right now, it's because of them. So from Bai Joshi, who was the first, Indian women doctor, who was mocked for just wearing shoes, which was regarded as a foreign object at that time, and it was considered impure. So fighting such battles, and even for example, Muthulakshmi Reddy, she was pelted with slippers because she's the first woman legislator, and she was pelted with slippers, but she still continued, and that is the reason we are here, like women like us are here today. So that question is very well suited for our book, Women Pathbreakers. But talking about Valiant Women, in this book we talk about the women who have been a strong backbone behind the front, the forefront people and the eminent personalities of the freedom struggle. Yeah. For example, if you take Mahatma Gandhi, if you just see that, if you talk about the freedom struggle, you always think about Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Patel, but there were women behind them, and because when they went into the jail, they continued the struggle, they continued the freedom movement. And because of that, we attained the freedom. So if you go to see Kasturba Gandhi, Sarojani Naidu, and there are so many others, Usha Mehta. So all of these are, were there behind them. So once they were put into the jail, these women shackled the thought process that women are meant to stay in the four walls and be in the secured environment. They literally took that step forward and inspired millions of other women to follow that path, which is why we attained freedom today. So yeah, this is what I would like to say about the camp.
That's really brilliant. Why don't you share some insights about the book, the Valiant Women, that actually gives a reflection of the content it is having for the women's of today. Many audiences would be very cherishing to know about what exactly is in the book, because when I had an overview, I had a clear overview that this, it is a kind of direction women should move in, or women in the past have moved in for this country. So just share some
Yeah.
insights about the book.
Definitely. So, Valiant Women is all about the women who have participated in India's freedom struggle and helped in a way that we do not even imagine. So, for example, I talk about a few of the women in the book, like Vijay Lakshmi Pandit. When she stepped out, she was inspired by her own brother, Jawaharlal Nehru. She was inspired by her mother and her sisters who participated in the fight. And she took that step. She moved out. She fought for, she fought on various fronts. But in that process, her family was left out. In the sense, her kids, she had to put them in boarding school. And when she came back to take her kid, her little daughter, Rita, she didn't recognize her mother. And she was crying right on the station. And, that is the kind of struggle that these women faced. For example, Kanaklata Barua, she was 17-year-old girl and she participated, she willingly participated in the Mrityu Bahini, which was the death squad. And she laid her life at a very, very tender age. I cannot even imagine what inspired her to take this bold step. So the message that this book gives is an inspiration to millions of not just women but men, kids, everybody, every whatever gender any person identifies themselves. It is an inspiration to everyone, because of them, we could fight and win this Indian freedom struggle, and we are free today the way we are. And we are doing this show, we are here, we are talking.
Exactly.
It's all because of that basic foundation. So this is the importance of the book, and there are seven women who have been seven stories that have been highlighted in this book.
Yeah.
All of women, yeah. And there are some special pages also on three other women freedom fighters. So yeah, this is about that.
Totally agree to your answer. Actually, inspirations are not carried from gender to gender. It can be taken from anywhere and from anyone. That's totally fine. So the strength of an army is its logistics. Okay. So why do we never talk of women who were behind these seven women that has been mentioned in the book? There have been many women behind these seven women. So
Yeah.
So may I
Okay,
have these?
so this is an interesting question, actually, because when you think about it, okay, you probably, for example, a decade ago or even a few decades ago, when you would have spoken about the freedom movement, anybody would have just taken the name of Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Patel and eminent personalities like them.
Check.
Few decades you move forward, you will see people talking about Rani Laxmi-bai, okay, and talking about many other freedom fighters, that Kasturba Gandhi, Sarojani, Naidu. Okay. Now, when you come forward, you see we are talking about Jhalkari Bai in our book. Now, Jhalkari Bai was the woman behind Rani Laxmi-bai's army. She was the one who helped Rani Laxmi-bai escape from the British attack. She disguised as Rani Laxmi-bai and fought on the battle, letting her escape from the back door. So
Yeah.
if you see, as we keep progressing, we keep looking for stories and inspirations that have, are behind these amazing movements that happened. These really important movements that were there in our Indian history. And for that matter, even in Usha Mehta, the story of Usha Mehta that we've written, there she talks about her own little group that she had formed, which was the Manjar Sena. And, when she was a little girl, they formed this group. And if you also read about Indira Gandhi, she also had a Vanar Sena that she had created when she was a little girl. So that's what, if you see, we do try highlighting the stories that are behind these really eminent personalities. And in fact, there are some of these stories which have been lost, but it is important to find them even through folk tales or folklores and, bring them forward. And that is how we will recognize their sacrifices and, the inspirational stories. So yeah,
Agree.
that's
Agree. I totally agree with you. So, if we really talk about your book, Valiant Women, which you have been a huge part of, so you discussed seven women, your defenders, basically Jhalkai Bai and Kanaklata Barua, Aruna Asaf Ali, Usha Mehta, Durga Bhai, Sarojani Naidu, Vijay Lakshmi Pandit. What was the reason to choose these seven, freedom fighters? Were they researched upon thoroughly, or there were some other reasons to actually you give them a recognition in front of the world?
so. To be honest, each of their story is really really inspirational, and that does not mean that there are other women who haven't done as great. Definitely, their stories are also inspiring. But let me put it this way: the seven women that you see in the book, they are a mind, like this tiny subset of a huge set that the entire editorial team wants to talk about. So
Okay.
we have a huge list of women, out there whom we want to write about, whom we want to talk about. And of these, the seven were, it's not like on a priority basis or something like that, but we picked these seven, and we will continue to write about the other freedom fighters and eminent personalities who have worked so hard, but they are, they've not been that well recognized, or their story is not as popular or as known. So even if you see the story of Durgabai Deshmukh in this book, for that matter, it is so heart touching, because she was sent to Vellore jail when she protested, and then in Vellore jail when she protested for the second time for the rights of the women who were imprisoned there. She protested for them. That is when they moved her to Madurai jail, where she was put in an isolation cell, and there, right besides the people who were about to be hanged, the prisoners who were about to be hanged, the anguish that she faced at that time, nobody to talk to, just listening to the screams and yelling and shouting of these prisoners, affected her mental health. They were also poisoning her slowly and steadily. It was so, you when you read these stories, I sometimes just, there are just tears in my eyes because of so much they have gone through. And even despite of all this, when she was released, she she actually continued to serve for India. So it is, yeah, this these are the reasons why we have a huge list, and we will continue writing. In fact, we have a new book which is Heroes of the Freedom Struggle, which is already out. The first part is out, and we'll be putting up some more. It's not just about them. In fact, we also have a list of the tribal freedom fighters. So freedom fighters like Uda Devi, Malti Mem, Helen Lepcha, all of these are also on our list. So, you can look forward to many more stories coming up, and you reading most of this.
I'm
Hope.
sure audiences will be hoping that they get to see a huge part of your team into finding and recognizing the Indian women who were behind the freedom, the struggle of freedom. And I hope you all the best for that. And you to your team also doing a great job.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So yeah. So moving ahead, as you know that we can't give any first preference to any of the freedom fighters, but in particular, who on your list inspires you the most? What is that one quality that you have been inspired with or aspired with?
Uh, I I really don't know how to pick and choose. Like you mentioned,
Yeah.
each of their struggle is just so inspiring. There's nothing that you can pick and choose and be like, this is what I want. In fact, for that matter, if you see women from, not just from this book, women like Rani Abaka, she was she's like the most fearless woman. Like the story that her story is so inspiring, it's so touching. I really like the way she, outwitted her husband, and then she threw the Portuguese out of Ulal. She's been remembered for her bravery and her fearlessness. And in fact, even in this book, Valiant Women, if you see, there is Usha Mehta, who, her story is so inspiring, because even as a child, she started working for her country. She wanted to serve her country in such a way that she started picketing liquor shops. Then, she also ran away from her house just to start the radio station. So, their stories are just, it's just like you can't fathom how they had this much of grit and guts to just do all these things. And that is why their story is so inspiring, because today we may not be, really fighting for the freedom struggle as such, but we are fighting different battles. And, each of their stories is inspiring. In fact, even today, not just in the book, there are many others who inspire. Just their stories are just so inspirational. So I really don't think I can pick one.
Yeah, that's all right. So do you think that if sheros led the movement, the freedom movement, instead of our heroes, we would have gained independence a lot sooner?
Okay, I think this is a conjecture, because I don't know. Like, there's always a hypothesis. There's always a possibility of if this or if that, but nobody can actually ascertain that, what could have been the case if this would have been this way. So probably if the society would have been a matriarchal society, you never know, women would have acted differently, the society would have been different, the community would have been different. And for that matter, even, probably they would have taken the Gandhian route, for all we know, because women have been protective towards their family. They would want to protect their children, their family, and still stand up for the right. So even if it was a matriarchal society, I think it could have been this. But again, it's a speculation, and speculation has a lot of branches, and sticking to one is not really correct. So I really don't think I can answer this.
What makes me smile is, that how beautifully things actually get linked to the patriarchal society every time. And that is like non-avoidable. You cannot do anything about it. So,
no, we can't.
Actually, we can't.
No. In fact, it was a conversation. I just recently put it up on my LinkedIn also. I had a conversation with one of my just acquaintance, and I was just like, oh, he was like, do you believe in God? And I said, I think she guides me, and she's the force behind whatever I do. So the next question that he had was like, how do you know it is a she? So I was just like, would you ask this? Yeah, I was like, would you ask this question if I said a he? And he was just like, okay. So,
Everything is
it
quite
was a he.
It is interconnected to patriarchy somehow, because as you said that if not this, then that is quite hypothetical. But yeah, so this question might be very relevant to the conversation we're having. Do you think feminism has been redefined by women who were once considered a symbol of grace before the British era? Now, again, there's a symbol of grace attached to women. So
I'm glad you pointed it out.
I had to. When I framed this question, I had to. I mean, I require this answer from your side.
Okay, so that is where I was going to start from, like the symbol of grace.
You can resume from where I left.
Yeah, because I think women have been a symbol of grace, grit, growth, women of substance. It's not just grace. And even if you see in the pre-British era, talk about Razia Sultana, talk about Rani Padmini, talk about even our mythological queens, Sita standing up for her rights and saying to Rama that I will follow you in the exile. Draupadi standing up for her rights. All of these women have never been just a symbol of grace. Okay, I do believe that. And in fact, if you go to see about, if you go to see feminism as a term, it's a very broad term, which which changes from era to era, and you cannot define it as such, because every era women face multiple struggles. Their struggles keep changing. The battles that they're fighting with the society changes, but the struggle continues. The fight continues, and each of them stand up and fight. And that is what makes them graceful, grateful, everything that they are. So even if you see not just a queen, but even someone who's confined in the four walls of her house, she is fighting some struggle. It could be earlier about the rights to go out, the rights for freedom. Now it could be about gender equality. With changing times, it's going to be something else. But the fact remains that they have been fighting, they will continue fighting, and they have been a symbol of substance more than anything else. So that is what I feel is
well, in the same way, I was expecting an answer from your side as well. So I'm pretty satisfied with the answer. I must accept that. So yeah, so
I'm
so
glad.
so moving ahead, I must say that every decade, every generation, every century has seen some different struggles for women. So how do you see, in the present times when things are really being oppressed from either of the sides, it is really not in a balanced way. So do you see the women of today overpowering themselves to become the sheros of the society, in this modernization?
I I don't know. This is, I feel this is back to the question that I had just said. If I would have said a he, would you ask me this question? That point,
If it
because
was upon me, I would have asked you that. Why he?
because we constantly feel that just because this whole thing about women fighting for their rights, women fighting for freedom, women fighting for different things is there in the picture, which is exactly why we talk about women growing so much that they might overpower themselves. Which honestly, I don't know who defines the limit of overpowering. I mean, who is the one? Because is there somebody who says this for any other gender for that matter, not just a man, but for any other gender? Would you be like, oh, this is the benchmark, and if you go beyond this, you have overpowered it? That's not been the case. But when it comes to this, because it is so deep rooted in our society, that we tend to just go that route, even unintentionally for that matter. There have been times like, when people talk and then they're just like, oh, what did I just say? That happens.
Yeah.
So so and then the good part is, which I feel is a very good progress, that when they say it, they realize, they stop, they think, and then they apologize. Not just a man, but even a woman, when she's talking about something and she says something like that, they realize it and then they apologize. They're like, oh, okay, no, this was wrong, which itself shows that it is a progress that we've made in the society. So overpowering is a question which I feel there is no defined limit that we can say overpowering.
Well, if you're mentioning it as a progress, then it is a kind of a positive thing to keep out of this session I'm having with you. So yeah, I like to.
Yeah.
I would like to conclude this session, though I do not want to, but still I will. I'll have to. I'm in the limits of my time. So I hope the audiences might
Yeah,
have got a
sure.
glimpse of the book, and those who have not read might be very curious about the content it is having, to go and watch the book. Your team has really done a lot on this book, and we are seriously expecting your team to come out with some other seven sheros we haven't heard of. So that will be quite amazing to see you with other seven sheros stories and having another session with you, Komal.
Definitely.
So it was an awesome session.
Definitely.
I personally enjoyed a lot interacting with you and to have your views over, my
Thank
questions
you.
raised. So I would like to
Thank,
thank you for that. So please end up with the
thank
last
you.
words.
I would just want to say a big thank you to the PragatiE Lit Fest. Thank you to you. Thanks to you for this amazing interview and the amazing questions that you had. And a big, big thank you to the lovely readers out there who have shown their love, not just to Valiant Women, to Women Pathbreakers, to Paramveer Chakra, to all the multiple books that Amar Chitrakatha has been creating for over more than 5 decades. And they continue to show their love. They continue to tell us, and they bring us stories and they tell us, write about this person, write about that person. And it fills our heart with love and with gratitude. And I just would like to thank on behalf of the whole Amar Chitrakatha team and the editorial team. I'm sure our editor, Reena Puri, would be really happy to see this and see how much love is being showered on our books. So thank you so much for it.
It was a
And
privilege
I hope
interviewing you,
people
Komal.
continue this.
It was a privilege
Thank
interviewing
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Komal.
Same here. It was a pleasure.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.